Hi, I'm Misha and I'm writing a book. Today I figured it was about time that I did the AuthorTube newbie tag, which I am due for, and I've put out a couple of videos now, so I feel like it's about time that I introduce myself in this way. That's how the people seem to be doing it. So I'm gonna follow this trend. I'm currently working on the first draft of my novel. It is a sapphic psychological thriller. I am very excited to share more about that as the journey unfolds. Right now, I'm currently working through my July writing challenge, which is to write 50,000 words in the month of July. That video showing the progress of that journey and whether I accomplish that goal is coming soon. So I'm very excited to answer some of these questions. I have them written down here, so if I'm looking at my phone, that is why. So the first question is, how did you find out about AuthorTube? I grew up in the wave of YouTube and the OG beauty influencers. I've spent a lot of time exploring YouTube videos. As a kid, I think I stumbled upon Christine Riccio's videos, and she was going through her first book writing journey, and that was really exciting for me to see, and that was something that I found to be so inspiring as I found it when I was like 19, and that was when I wrote my first book. So that was something that was really critical to my journey, just because I loved watching her videos as I was writing my own book and seeing how much our processes and the ups and downs of our journeys were a bit in sync with each other. It was something that I hadn't seen before done on YouTube, and then I went on this whole journey of exploring other author tubers and learning more about story structure and plotters and versus pantsers, and I went down this huge rabbit hole. So I was probably around 19. It was about 10 years ago that I discovered AuthorTube. So very exciting times, and I've been watching AuthorTube videos ever since. So the next question is, what genres do you write in? I have gone a little bit all over the place in terms of genre. I've written dystopian books. I wrote a retelling of Medusa from a feminist lens, where her head of hair, which was snakes, each one represented a specific emotion and spoke to her. All of the books I've written have had psychological elements to it, horror elements to them. And I think what I'm writing now kind of feels like coming home, because I have loved psychological thrillers since I was young. It's so strange that I haven't specifically written within this genre up until this point, but I am so excited to be writing this, and it feels so right. I don't know if I'll go and explore other genres. I mean, I'm sure I will, but for now, this really feels like where I need to be, and I would love to write more psychological thrillers in the future. I think the ones that I'm writing don't have as much horror or gore. I mean, there's some. You might not like what I'm writing if that is scary to you. I try to make any goriness or horror type scenes very purposeful. Like, I won't just add them for the sake of adding them, and they need to be rooted in they need to have some sort of weight to them. They need to bring the story forward. And I'm not just writing horror novels necessarily. I think they're more psychological than they are horror. This genre has opened up so much for me and has felt so right. So I'm very excited to be writing this book. And I think this is why this is a book that I also am hoping to share when it comes time to. The next question is, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? My preferred writing tense is past tense. In the first draft, the tenses are all over the place, but I typically write past tense I don't think I've ever written present tense. However, I think in my first draft, I dabble in present tense somehow, and that's something I have to clean up quite a bit when it comes down to revision time. In terms of point of view, that I typically switch. I've written third person before, I've written first person before. Funnily enough, what I'm writing right now is I started writing it in third person, and then it just didn't feel right. I think it was really important for the story to be told by the protagonist. There's so much that would make more sense if the story was told from her perspective. It allows you to get a little bit into her psyche, and that's very important for this book and this story. So when I went in and did the complete rewrite of it, I actually shifted to first person, which I think just makes so much more sense for this story. I typically write adult fiction. There are a lot of deeper, nuanced themes within my stories, and so the characters are often also like 30 plus or in their late 20s. So yeah, typically adult fiction, I would say. So the next question is, are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? A pantser is basically someone who discovery writes and learns the story as they write it. And a plotter is someone who typically does a little bit more outlining of their book. I think I typically lean towards being a pantser. I learn my story as I write it. However, I mean, I would make the argument that I'm a bit of a plantser because I do a lot of character sketching. I will write journal entries from the perspective of my characters. I'll find photographs of people that kind of remind me of my characters and that I envision them kind of looking like. And I mean, for this book, I also made like birth charts, like astrological birth charts for my main characters, which that was new and that was really fun. And I'm going to carry that forward. I want to do that again. Because I do character sketches, I would almost say I'm a bit of a plantser, but I don't really outline. Like, I have the concept of the book. I typically know the beginning and I usually know the end, or the end will come to me very early on. The beginning, I would say, is always more important for me to know before the end. If I have a really strong beginning, I usually feel really good about the first couple of pages of my first draft, and then I just go for it. But I spend the most time with the first couple of pages. So my first couple of pages are almost like a second draft. That's also kind of generous, but they are a little bit more edited than the rest of the book is. Usually I'll know the end, or I'll have an idea or options for how it can end. This one, I don't have a clear ending. Like, I thought I had a clear ending, and that has now switched to an alternate ending. And I don't know if that'll stick either. So I'm gonna kind of figure that one out as it goes. But I really thought I had this book's ending, and I don't know. I also need like a project name for this book because I don't like just calling it this book. So I'm gonna call it Project Red from now on, because when I think of this book, I think of the color red, and that's how I kind of visualize it. I would say I'm like probably a 20% plotter. Now, is that too generous? 15% plotter. Maybe a 20% plotter and an 80% of a pantser. Because even though I've done all these character sketches, I know the personalities of these characters really well. I know how they might react to a situation, how they might not react, but I don't know all of their backstory. There's a lot of questions I still have around what their role is within the story and how it's going to play out. So I typically learn a lot more of their backstory through the process of actually writing, and I also learn more about them. So I'll know enough about them to understand how they're different and they're distinct and what their voices kind of sound like, but I will inevitably really know them by the end of the first draft. The next question is, are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? So I am yet to be published. I'm not currently a published author. I hope that I think this is a book that I would like to publish in the future when it's ready and when it's been revised and when I've done my final edits. I would love to move towards publishing. And I think I want to try the traditional publishing route. I have tried the traditional publishing route in the past. For my previous manuscript that I had, I received 3 full requests from agents and 1 revise and resubmit. However, the revise and resubmit what meant that I needed to completely change the book. It was take away the real meaning behind the book, and it would be something that I wouldn't feel proud of or good about. So that one was tough. I actually ended up shelving that project because I wrote it during a time that was really heavy for me. I had a lot of life changes, and I actually wrote that draft, the first draft, through those life changes, and I went through and revised. I did 7 or 8 drafts of that book, and I felt pretty good about it when I was submitting it. But yes, I ended up shelving that project, and it's something that's really hard for me to go back to just because it's too emotional, I think. I'm really happy that I wrote it. It liberated something in me and healed something in me, and I honestly think that that is all I kind of needed from it. So I'm really happy that I wrote it. I'm really happy with where it stands. I love that story, and maybe one day I will go back to it and reread it and maybe do another couple of revisions, but I am really excited to be in this story. This one is one I'm really excited to hopefully pursue publishing with. The next question is, what authortube-related videos can we expect to find on your channel? So because I've made quite a few, I think you can get a little bit of a sense if you've been to my channel before. I do love a writing vlog, as you can probably tell. That is probably my favorite form of content to make. It's really fun and in the moment, and I think it's something that I'm excited to also look back on when I am eventually done this book and I finalize it and then maybe on to another project. I typically journal a lot, but I'm not super inclined to reread all of my journals either. And so to have video documentation of what my process and the ups and downs of it look like is something that I definitely want to look back on in the future. It is also a great way to reassure myself, especially when I'm in a lower place and I'm feeling a little bit harder on myself, that, yes, this is a part of the journey and this is a dip that I always take, typically at this part of the process. And yeah, I think just having that sort of documentation is really exciting for me. You'll also be able to see mostly writing content in general. As I'm writing my first draft, I'm documenting vlogs and doing different challenges. Like for the month of July, as I mentioned, I am hoping to write 50,000 words by the end of July. You'll get writing goals videos from me. I may do Q&As in the future. I might do revise with me videos of how I plan to work through the revision process, and the revision process is kind of where the type A in me comes out, because I love to plan that out. I love to organize it and structure it in a way that makes sense. So I might do a couple of videos just on my revision process, updates on how those pieces are going. If there's anything that you'd like to specifically see in a video, please let me know in the comments below, because I will definitely take requests as well. Typically, I think book writing content, vlogs, I might do book reviews as well in the future, though I'm not sure. I'm not doing too much reading right now as I'm in writing mode. And so typically on the breaks that I have between drafts is when I'll do a lot of reading, and then I might throw in some book reviews. Books I like to read or books that have really helped me grow as a writer. I might do stuff like that. But yeah, if there's anything in specific that you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. The next question is, when did you start writing? The earliest age I can remember was 7. That's when I remember writing my first short story. We had got an assignment to write a 2-page short story, and I wrote a 14-page short story. And I just loved it. It was so much fun. Even before that, I got into reading really, really young because it was just this form of escapism for me. I was someone who was just constantly in my head and had a really big imagination, and stories really helped fuel that for me. My family moved quite a lot when I was a kid, and so it was really hard to maintain friendships. So I spent a lot of time with books. I think that is where I found connection. I journaled since I was really young as well. So I was probably six. I think that's the oldest journal that I have is from when I was 6 years old. I've kept all of my journals and I continue to journal. So it's lovely to have this huge collection of my life just documented. Writing has always felt like some sort of a calling for me. It's something I've always known that I am meant to do in my lifetime, whether or not it is consumed by other people. What it's always done for me is created space for me in a way that has felt like unconditional love and something that brings me back to myself when I feel like I have either drifted or am lost. That has always been this constant in my life that I feel very grateful for, and I will do it forever. So the next question is, what was the first story you ever wrote? I don't remember. I wish I could remember. I mean, we moved around so much that I definitely lost that first story, the 14-page story that I wrote, and I wish I could just even remember what it might be about. My camera died, but we're back. We're back at it. The next question is, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Oh, this is hard. Elizabeth Gilbert. Shaima, I forget her last name. She is the writer of Halal Sex, which is a brilliant book. Gillian Flynn, for sure, like Gone Girl, Sharp Objects. Alex Michaelides, the author of Silent Patient. I might mispronounce some of these names. Elaine Craft, who wrote The Princess of 72nd Street. So good. Way ahead of its time. The next question is, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? So I think I would say it depends. I would probably say I schedule it, but there are times when I'm in the idea phase or I'm trying to unravel a concept of a story where I don't schedule my writing sessions. So I guess it depends on what stage I'm in or what season of writing that I'm in. Do you type on a computer, a typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? So I probably do a blend. Actually, the 20,000 words that I had originally wrote for this draft and then scrapped completely and went into the rewrite with, the initial draft was actually all handwritten. And that's typically the route that I go for first drafts. This is actually the first time that I'm typing the draft, and it's just flowing better this way. I felt really strange at first when I was typing the first draft because it's just not the norm for me. I love handwriting wherever I can. It's definitely tough because you have to then type it all out after, which is a whole other thing. But I do a blend of both, I would say. I wish I had a typewriter. That would be so cool. That would be very cool. I've gotten into fountain pens recently, and I am in a rabbit hole of fountain pens. I am on my fountain pen journey, and it's been so good. It's been really fun. I don't know. It elevates the writing experience. It's so cool because you're just with ink. You're just so fun. Do you not find it fun? It's fun for me. I don't know. The last question. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of AuthorTube? I love this question. I'm really looking forward to community, to being able to engage with other AuthorTubers in a different way, to be able to build relationships with other writers who are on their novel writing journey, and also to be able to document this process so that I can look back on it as I'm working on new projects and remind myself of certain stages that I naturally go through and patterns and cycles that I go through during my drafting journey. I'm very excited mostly for the connection aspect of it, and also pushing myself to put myself out there and be a little bit out of my comfort zone with, video content and YouTube. It's something I've wanted to do for a really long time, and I am very excited to finally be doing it. I think that's all the questions I have for you today. Let me double check that I'm not missing any. I am not. I don't think I am. If I am, sorry. I would love to know what type of videos you like to see. The types of videos that are really interesting for me are testing out author routines. I love those videos. So I might even do some of those myself, just because I love to consume them and learn more about different author processes and then how they work or jive with other people. So I might do that in the future as well. But if there's anything that you would like to see, let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.